Welcome to Blue Blood, the channel where we talk about Hungarian aristocracy and how they are intertwined with European history. My name is Adam, and in every episode I will introduce you to one very influential Hungarian aristocratic family while walking through their former castles. Finally, at the end of each episode, we will see the demise of said aristocracy under the communism after World War II. Today we are going to talk about one of the all-time most influential Hungarian families, the Esterházy family. They are one of the few Hungarian families that ascended to princely title, and by marriage they were tied to such European families as the ruling princes of Liechtenstein. A quick disclaimer: at the end of the video, when we cover the fall of the aristocracy, we shot at a location that did not belong to the Esterházy family. We simply used a ruinous castle for dramatic purposes. Now let's roll the intro. Although the family traced their lineage back to the 12th century, they rose to prominence in the early modern age. In the beginning of the 17th century, they were first elevated to the rank of baron, then shortly thereafter to the rank of count. In the previous video, I mentioned that Hungary came under the rule of the House of Habsburg in the beginning of the 16th century, but we didn't discuss the circumstances. The succession of the Habsburgs to the Hungarian throne was mostly because the Ottoman Empire invaded about one-third of the country, and the Hungarian aristocracy thought we needed an internationally influent king who had the financial background necessary to fight the Ottomans. With the help of the Habsburgs, we managed to stop the Ottomans from invading the whole country, but it still took around 150 years to drive them out. In 1687, the joint forces of Europe, heeding the call of the Habsburg Emperor, helped Hungary expel the Ottomans from most of the country. In exchange, Leopold I expected the Hungarian estates to accept the Habsburgs as hereditary kings of Hungary without election. Count Pál Esterházy, as the most prestigious aristocrat of the country, persuaded the estates to renounce the right of election, which they eventually did. For his services, the Count was created a Prince of the Holy Roman Empire. Now it's time we briefly discuss an important matter regarding Central European aristocracy. Unlike in Western Europe, all legitimate children inherited the title of their father, which means that all sons of a count were counts and all daughters of a count were countesses in their own right. That is because titles were not attached to locations in Hungary, they were attached to families. So while in Britain a count is the count of a place, in Hungary the title is used with the surname, and that's why I've been saying Count Károly or Count Esterházy. By the way, just a fun fact, this fortress castle served as the main location in episode 5 of season 1 in the Netflix series The Witcher. So I am very excited to be here because I've been waiting for so long to visit this castle, which is called the Hungarian Versailles. In its present form, the castle was built in the 1760s by Miklós Esterházy, the grandson of the first prince. It later became an important cultural center, not just in the country but on an imperial level as well. No other than Joseph Haydn was the court musician of the Esterházy family, and he served them for almost 30 years. Another famous guest in the castle was the renowned German poet Goethe, and even the monarch herself, Queen Maria Therese, was a guest here in 1773. The end of the Second World War brought a new era and destroyed the old elite. The Soviet communists invaded Hungary, and it was their goal to ruin the former ruling class. All of their estates were confiscated and their castles robbed, but that was not the worst part. Several aristocrats were imprisoned, deported, tortured, or even killed for no other reason than being aristocrats. Prince Pál Esterházy was sentenced to 15 years of prison by the communists based on false charges. Former Prime Minister Count Moritz Esterházy was first deported by the Nazis and later the communists for no other reason than being an aristocrat. Fortunately, both of them could leave the country when a revolution against the communists broke out in 1956. Count János Esterházy was also persecuted by both the Nazis and the communists. He was sent to several prisons, including the Gulag in Siberia. He, however, was not fortunate enough to be able to escape and died in prison. His remains were never returned to the family.